The graduation ceremony was starting in 15 minutes. I was sitting in the third row of the auditorium, saving a seat for my sister, who was running late. Parents and families filled the seats around me, everyone excited, taking photos, checking programs to find their graduate's name. My daughter Sarah was graduating college, 22 years old, biology degree, honors student. I was so proud I could burst. I was looking at the program when I heard his laugh. That specific laugh I hadn't heard in 5 years. The one I'd know anywhere. I looked up, and there he was, my ex-husband, Marcus. Standing in the aisle 3 rows ahead of me talking to someone, he looked different. Older, grayer, wearing a suit I didn't recognize, and in his arms he was holding a baby, maybe 6 months old. A little girl in a pink dress with a bow in her dark hair. The baby turned her head, and I saw her face, and my heart stopped. She looked exactly like Sarah. The same dark eyes, the same nose, the same shape to her face. Like someone had taken my daughter's baby photos and brought them to life. Marcus had another daughter, a baby who looked just like Sarah, just like me, which meant he'd had another child while we were still married, or right after we split, with someone else, while I thought we were trying to work things out. My name is Jennifer Walsh. I'm 47 years old. Marcus and I divorced 5 years ago after 20 years of marriage. It wasn't a good divorce. There was yelling and lawyers and fights about money and custody. We haven't spoken since the day the divorce was finalized, except through lawyers and brief texts about Sarah. And now here he was at our daughter's graduation, holding a baby who was clearly his, who looked exactly like the daughter we'd raised together. I watched as a woman joined him, younger than me, maybe early 30s, blonde, pretty. She took the baby from Marcus and kissed him on the cheek. This must be his new wife or girlfriend. The mother of this baby who looked so much like Sarah. How was this possible? The timeline didn't make sense, unless Marcus had been cheating on me before the divorce, unless he'd gotten someone pregnant while we were still married. The ceremony started. I tried to focus on it, on Sarah, on this important moment, but I couldn't stop staring at Marcus 3 rows ahead, holding that baby, laughing with his new family. They called Sarah's name. She walked across the stage, shook the dean's hand, got her diploma. I stood up and cheered. So did Marcus. We were both celebrating our daughter, separately, from different sections of the auditorium, with completely different lives. After the ceremony, there was a reception in the quad. I found Sarah in the crowd of graduates. She threw her arms around me. Mom, I did it. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. You worked so hard. Where's Aunt Linda? She got stuck in traffic. She'll be here soon. Sarah looked past me. Her face changed. Oh, Dad's here. I turned around. Marcus was walking toward us with the blonde woman and the baby who looked like Sarah. Hi, Dad, Sarah said, hugging him. Congratulations, kiddo. I'm so proud of you, Marcus hugged her back. Then he gestured to the woman next to him. Sarah, this is Lauren, and this is Lily. Lily. The baby's name was Lily. Lauren smiled at Sarah. It's so nice to finally meet you. Your dad talks about you constantly. Nice to meet you too, Sarah said. She looked at the baby. She's cute. Thanks, Lauren said. She's at that grabby stage. Wants to touch everything. I stood there, feeling invisible. Marcus hadn't even acknowledged me, hadn't said hello, hadn't introduced me to Lauren or explained who the baby was. Finally, Sarah said, Dad, you remember Mom? Marcus glanced at me. Jennifer, hi. Marcus. My voice sounded cold even to my own ears. Awkward silence. Sarah looked between us, clearly uncomfortable. Well, Marcus said, we should let you celebrate with your mom. We'll catch up with you later at dinner, okay? 7 p.m. at the Riverside? Okay, Dad. See you then. Marcus and his new family walked away. I watched them go, watched the way he held Lauren's hand, the way he looked at the baby, like she was the most precious thing in the world, the same way he'd once looked at Sarah. Mom? Sarah's voice pulled me back. Are you okay? I'm fine. Just surprised to see your dad. He didn't mention he was bringing anyone. Yeah, he just told me about Lauren and Lily last month. I guess they've been together for a while, but he didn't want to tell me until things were serious. How long is a while? I don't know. A couple years, I think? A couple years. The divorce had been final for 5 years, which meant if they'd been together for a couple years and the baby was about 6 months old, the timeline added up. Barely, unless they'd been together longer than Sarah knew about. My sister Linda finally arrived. She hugged Sarah, congratulated her, took a million photos. We went to lunch, just the three of us, and I tried to focus on celebrating Sarah instead of thinking about Marcus and his new baby who looked exactly like my daughter. But I couldn't stop thinking about that baby's face, about how much she looked like Sarah at that age, about what it meant. Later that afternoon, after we dropped Sarah off at her apartment to get ready for dinner with Marcus, Linda turned to me. Are you going to talk about it? Talk about what? The baby. Marcus's baby, who looks exactly like Sarah. You noticed that too. Everyone noticed it. It was eerie, like looking at Sarah's baby photos. I don't understand how that's possible. Genetics don't work that way. Two half siblings shouldn't look that similar unless. I trailed off. Unless what? Unless Marcus is one of those men who has a strong genetic imprint, where all his kids look alike. Or unless there's something else going on. Like what? Linda hesitated. I don't know. But it's weird, Jen. Really weird. I thought about it all afternoon. That night, Sarah went to dinner with Marcus and his new family. I stayed home looking through old photo albums, finding pictures of Sarah as a baby. The resemblance was undeniable. Lily looked exactly like Sarah had at that age. The same everything. It wasn't just that they both looked like Marcus. It was more specific than that. They looked like they could be the same person. I called my friend Rachel. She was a genetics counselor. If anyone could explain this, she could. Is it possible for two half siblings to look almost identical? I asked after explaining the situation. It's rare, but possible, Rachel said. If the father has very dominant genes and both mothers have similar features, the children could look very similar. But identical? That would be unusual. They don't just look similar. They look like the same person. Same eyes, same nose, same face shape, everything. That's extremely unlikely for half siblings. Are you sure this baby is Marcus's biological child? I mean, I assume so. Why would his girlfriend lie about that? I don't know. But genetics don't usually work that way. There should be some differences, some influence from the mother's genes. So what are you saying? I'm saying it's strange. And if I were you, I'd be asking questions. I hung up with Rachel and sat there thinking, what questions should I be asking? And who should I be asking them to? I couldn't ask Marcus. We barely spoke. I couldn't ask Sarah without worrying her. I couldn't ask Lauren, who I'd just met. So I did what any desperate person does in the digital age. I looked up Lauren on social media. Her profile was public. Photos of her and Marcus dating back 2 years. Photos of her pregnant 9 months ago. Photos of Lily since she was born. I scrolled back further, looking for anything that might explain this, that might tell me why this baby looks so much like my daughter. And then I found it, a photo from 3 years ago. Lauren at some kind of medical clinic holding a pamphlet. The caption read, starting this journey. Fingers crossed. I zoomed in on the pamphlet. I could just make out the words. Fertility clinic, IVF and donor services. IVF, in vitro fertilization. I sat back, my mind racing. Lauren had done IVF, which meant Lily was conceived in a lab, which meant there was documentation, records, genetic material that had been frozen and stored. But why would that make Lily look exactly like Sarah? Unless number. That was impossible. That was crazy. But I couldn't stop thinking about it, about the timeline, about the divorce, about the arguments Marcus and I had in the last year of our marriage. We'd tried to have another baby. For years, we'd tried. I'd done IVF 3 times. We'd created embryos, frozen them, planning to use them later, and then we got divorced. And in the chaos of the separation, I'd forgotten about those embryos. I'd assumed the clinic had destroyed them. or that Marcus had, or that they'd just remained frozen. But what if Marcus had used them? What if he'd taken our embryos and used them with Lauren? That would explain why Lily looked exactly like Sarah, because she was Sarah's full biological sister, not her half sister, because she came from my egg and Marcus's sperm, just like Sarah had. I called the fertility clinic first thing Monday morning. I need to know about embryos that was stored under my name. Jennifer Walsh, about 5 years ago. The receptionist was sympathetic but firm. I'm sorry, ma'am, but I can't give out that information over the phone. You'd need to come in and provide identification. Can you at least tell me if they still exist? If they're still frozen, I really can't. You'll need to come in. I made an appointment for that afternoon. I called in sick to work. I drove to the clinic, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. The nurse brought up my file. You and Marcus Walsh created 6 embryos 5 years ago. 3 were used in your last IVF cycle, which unfortunately didn't result in a pregnancy. 3 remained frozen. And where are they now? The nurse scrolled through the file. They were transferred to Marcus Walsh's name 2 years ago, following your divorce settlement. Transferred to his name? I didn't agree to that. According to our records, you signed a release form giving him full custody of the remaining embryos. I never signed anything like that. The nurse showed me the form. There was my signature at the bottom, except it didn't look quite like my signature. The letters were wrong. The loops were different. This is forged, I said. I never signed this. Ma'am, if you're disputing this, you'll need to take it up with our legal department. But according to our records, the transfer was legal and the embryos are now under Marcus Walsh's control. Were any of them used? The nurse hesitated. I can't tell you that. That would be Marcus's medical information, not yours. Please, I need to know. Did he use one of our embryos to create a child with someone else? I'm sorry. I really can't tell you that. But I could see the answer in her face. Yes. Marcus had used one of our embryos. He'd taken the genetic material we'd created together during our marriage and used it to create a baby with his new partner, which meant Lily wasn't just Marcus's daughter. She was my biological daughter too, my genetic child. Born to another woman, without my knowledge or consent, I left the clinic and sat in my car, trying to process what I'd just learned. Marcus had stolen my embryo, forged my signature, used my genetic material to create a child without telling me. Was that even legal? Could he do that? I called a lawyer, explained the situation. That's complicated, the lawyer said. Embryo custody laws vary by state and by the specific circumstances of the divorce. Did your divorce decree address the embryos? I don't remember. I was so overwhelmed during the divorce, I might have missed it. You need to look at your divorce papers. If you gave him custody of the embryos as part of the settlement, even if you don't remember doing so, that might be legal. But if he forged your signature on that clinic release form, that's another matter entirely. I went home and dug through my files, found my divorce decree, read through all 30 pages of legal language, and there it was, buried in Section 12, subsection C. All remaining frozen embryos shall become the sole property of Marcus Walsh, who may dispose of them as he sees fit without further consent from Jennifer Walsh. I'd signed it 5 years ago in the chaos of the divorce. I'd signed away my rights to those embryos. I'd probably thought it didn't matter, that Marcus would never use them, that they'd just remain frozen forever or be destroyed. I never imagined he'd use one to create a baby with someone else, but apparently that was legal. According to the divorce decree I'd signed, Marcus had every right to do what he did, which meant Lily was legally Lauren's daughter and Marcus's daughter, even though biologically she was mine. I didn't tell Sarah right away. I didn't know how. How do you tell your 22-year-old daughter that her dad used your frozen embryos to create a baby with his new partner? That the baby sister she'd just met was actually her full biological sister, not her half-sister. But I had to tell someone. I called Linda. You're not going to believe this, I said. And I told her everything. The clinic, the embryos, the forged signature that turned out to be legitimate, all of it. Linda was silent for a long moment. Then, that's the most messed up thing I've ever heard. Tell me about it. Does Marcus know you know? I don't think so. How could he? Are you going to confront him? I don't know. What's the point? It's legal. He had the right to use those embryos. Legal doesn't make it right. He should have told you. You deserve to know. But what can I do about it now? The baby exists. She's 6 months old. I can't undo that. No, but you can demand answers. You can make Marcus explain himself. You can decide if you want to be part of this child's life. She's not my child. Lauren is raising her, but she's your genetic daughter. Your DNA, that has to mean something. Did it? I didn't know. I spent the next week trying to figure out how I felt about Lily, about Marcus, about the whole situation. Part of me was angry, furious that Marcus had done this without telling me, that he'd used my genetic material to create a baby I knew nothing about until I saw her at Sarah's graduation. But another part of me was curious. This baby was made from my DNA. She was biologically mine, even if legally and practically she was Lauren's. Did I have a right to know her, to be part of her life? And what about Sarah? She deserved to know the truth, that Lily wasn't just her half-sister, that they were full biological sisters. I finally called Marcus. He answered on the third ring. Jennifer, is something wrong? Is Sarah okay? Sarah's fine. I need to talk to you about Lily. Silence on the other end. Then, what about her? I went to the fertility clinic. I know what you did. I know she came from one of our embryos. More silence. Then Marcus sighed. How did you find out? I have eyes, Marcus. She looks exactly like Sarah. It wasn't hard to figure out. I was going to tell you. Eventually. When? After she graduated college. I don't know. I didn't know how to bring it up. Lauren and I wanted a baby. We had trouble conceiving naturally. The clinic suggested IVF. They mentioned I had embryos already frozen. It seemed like the logical choice. The logical choice? Using embryos we made together to create a baby with someone else seemed logical to you? You signed them over to me in the divorce. Legally, they were mine to do with as I pleased. Legally, yes, but morally, ethically. You should have asked me. You should have told me. Would you have said yes if I'd asked? No, of course not. Exactly. That's why I didn't ask. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He was admitting that he'd gone behind my back because he knew I would have objected. And he didn't see anything wrong with that. Does Lauren know? I asked. But know what? That Lily is genetically mine? That she came from my egg? Marcus hesitated. Yes, she knows. And she was okay with it? She wanted a baby. The method didn't matter to her. The method? You mean using your ex-wife's genetic material to create her child? That didn't bother her at all? Lauren is very practical. She wanted to be a mother. This made it possible. She's grateful, actually. Grateful that we had those embryos available. Grateful. Lauren was grateful that Marcus had used my DNA to create her baby without telling me. Does Sarah know? I asked. No, I haven't told her. I wasn't planning to. Well, I'm going to tell her. She deserves to know the truth. That Lily is her full sister, not her half-sister. Jennifer, please don't. It'll just complicate things. Sarah's relationship with Lily is fine as it is. Why confuse her with genetic technicalities? Genetic technicalities. Marcus, we're talking about the fundamental truth of who this child is. We're talking about information that doesn't change anything. Lily is being raised by Lauren. Lauren is her mother, not you. The genetics don't matter. They matter to me. Why? What do you want, Jennifer? Do you want visitation rights? Do you want to be called Lily's mother? Because that's not going to happen. Lauren is her mother. You gave up those embryos in the divorce. I gave them up because I thought you'd destroy them or let them stay frozen forever. I never imagined you'd use them to create a child with someone else. Well, I did. And there's nothing you can do about it, so I suggest you let it go. He hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, shaking with anger. Marcus was right about one thing. Legally, there was nothing I could do. I'd signed away my rights to those embryos. What he'd done was legal, even if it was morally questionable. But he was wrong about telling Sarah. She deserved to know the truth. I called Sarah and asked her to meet me for coffee. She showed up looking worried. Is everything okay? You sounded weird on the phone. I need to tell you something about Lily, about your dad. And I told her everything, the embryos, the fertility clinic, the fact that Lily was her full biological sister, not her half sister. Sarah listened to all of it without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, So Lily is my actual sister? Genetically, yes, she came from the same egg and sperm that you came from. That's why she looks so much like me. Exactly. And Dad did this without telling you? Yes. That's really messed up, Mom. I know. Sarah was quiet again. Then, what are you going to do? I don't know. Legally, I have no rights. Lauren is Lily's mother. I signed away the embryos in the divorce. But you're her biological mother. Biology and motherhood aren't always the same thing. Do you want to be part of her life? Like as more than just Dad's ex-wife? Did I? I'd been asking myself that question for days. I didn't know the answer. I think I just want the truth to be known, I said. I don't want Lily to grow up thinking she's just your half-sister. I don't want her to not know where she really came from. I can understand that, but Mom, it's going to be really complicated. Dad's not going to want to tell her. Lauren's definitely not going to want to tell her. She's going to want to be seen as Lily's only mother. I know, but the truth matters. Does it? Or are you just hurt that Dad moved on and created a new family? The question stung. You think this is about jealousy? I don't know, is it? I thought about it. Was I jealous? Heard that Marcus had moved on so completely, that he'd created a new family without me. Maybe a little, but that wasn't the main thing. This is about informed consent, I said. Marcus used my genetic material without my knowledge. Yes, technically it was legal, but it was wrong, and Lily deserves to know the truth about her origins. When? When she's 5, 10, 20, when do you tell a kid that her mom isn't her biological mom? I don't know, but eventually, at some point she should know. Sarah nodded slowly. Okay, I get it. So what's the plan? I'm going to talk to Lauren. Woman to woman, let her know that I know, and that I think Lily should be told the truth when she's old enough. Good luck with that. Lauren seems really protective of her status as Lily's mom. I know, but I have to try. I called Lauren that evening. She answered cautiously. Jennifer? Hi. Is everything okay? I know about the embryo. I know Lily came from one of the embryos Marcus and I created. Silence. Then Marcus told you. Actually, I figured it out myself. Then I confirmed it with the clinic. Oh, I'm not calling to make trouble. I just think we should talk about what this means, about how to handle it. There's nothing to handle. Lily is my daughter. I'm the one who carried her and gave birth to her, and I'm raising her. The fact that you donated the genetic material doesn't change that. I didn't donate anything. Marcus used those embryos without telling me. He had legal custody. He didn't need to tell you. Morally, he should have. Maybe. But he didn't. And now we have Lily. And she's my daughter. Mine and Marcus's, not yours. I know she's not mine. I'm not trying to take her from you. I just think she should know the truth about where she came from. Why? So she can be confused? So she can feel like she has two mothers? What purpose does that serve? The purpose of truth. The purpose of knowing her own origins. She knows her origins. She came from me and Marcus. That's all she needs to know. But that's not the whole truth. It's the truth that matters. You're a stranger to her, Jennifer. You have no relationship with her. Why would we complicate her life by telling her about some genetic connection that doesn't mean anything? It means something to me. But this isn't about you. It's about Lily. And what's best for Lily is having one mother, me, not being told that some woman she doesn't know is her biological mother. I'm not asking to be your mother. I'm just asking that she know the truth. No, I'm sorry, but no. Marcus and I have discussed this. We're not telling her, at least not until she's much older. Maybe when she's an adult and can process it, but not now, not while she's young. Lauren, please. I'm sorry, Jennifer. I understand this is hard for you, but Lily is my daughter, and I get to decide what information she receives and when. That's my right as her mother. She hung up, and I realized she was right. As much as I hated it, Lauren had the legal right to decide what Lily was told. I had no say in it. I called the lawyer again, asked if there was anything I could do. Not really, she said. You could petition for visitation rights based on genetic parentage, but given that you signed away the embryos and you have no established relationship with the child, you'd almost certainly lose. So I have no rights at all. In this situation? Number. The embryo became Marcus's property when you signed the divorce decree. What he did with it was his choice. And the child born from that embryo is legally his and Lauren's child. You're not listed on the birth certificate. You have no parental rights. What if I'd never signed away the embryos? What if I'd kept joint custody? Then you'd have a case. But you didn't, so you don't. I hung up feeling defeated. There was nothing I could do. Lily was out there carrying my DNA, looking exactly like my daughter, and I had no rights to her. No say in her life. No way to make sure she knew the truth. But Sarah did. Sarah had a relationship with Lily. Sarah could tell her the truth someday. I won't tell her now, Sarah said when I talked to her about it. She's just a baby. She wouldn't understand anyway. But when she's older, when she asks questions about why she looks so much like me, I'll tell her the truth. Thank you. I'm not doing it for you, Mom. I'm doing it for Lily. She deserves to know where she came from, even if Dad and Lauren don't want her to know. Just promise me you'll wait until she's old enough to understand. I promise. 6 months went by. I tried to move on, to focus on my own life, but I couldn't stop thinking about Lily, about this child who was genetically mine, but completely out of my reach. I saw photos on social media. Lauren posted constantly. Lily's first Halloween, Lily's first Thanksgiving, Lily learning to crawl, Lily smiling and laughing and growing up without knowing I existed. It hurt more than I expected it to. Not because I wanted to replace Lauren as Lily's mother, but because I wanted to be acknowledged. I wanted Lily to know that she came from me, even if Lauren was the one raising her. One day, I got a message from Lauren. Marcus and I are having a birthday party for Lily. She's turning 1. We'd like you to come. I stared at the message. They wanted me to come to Lily's birthday party. After everything? After telling me I had no rights and no say in her life? Why? I messaged back. Because Sarah will be there. And it would be weird if you weren't. We don't have to make a big deal out of anything. You can just come as Sarah's mom. No one has to know the other stuff. The other stuff. Like I was some dirty secret. But I wanted to see Lily. I wanted to be part of this moment, even if it was from the sidelines. Okay, I wrote back. I'll be there. The party was at Marcus and Lauren's house, a big suburban place with a yard full of kids and parents and balloons. I arrived with Sarah, feeling out of place and uncomfortable. Lily was in the middle of it all, wearing a little crown, cake all over her face. She looked so much like Sarah had at that age, so much like me. I watched her from a distance, watched Marcus and Lauren doting on her, watched other guests taking photos and cooing over how cute she was. And I felt like a ghost, present but invisible, genetically connected but practically irrelevant. Are you okay? Sarah whispered to me. I don't know. This is weird. Do you want to leave? No, I want to be here. I don't know where I fit. You don't have to fit. You're here. That's enough. At one point, Lauren came over to us. Thank you for coming, Jennifer. It means a lot. Of course. She's Sarah's sister. I wanted to be here. I know this is complicated. I know you have feelings about the situation, but I appreciate you keeping it civil for everyone's sake. I'm not going to cause a scene if that's what you're worried about. I wasn't worried. I just wanted to say thank you for being respectful. She walked away, and I realized that was all I was going to get. Acknowledgement that the situation was weird, a thank you for not making trouble, but no real recognition of my role in Lily's existence. Near the end of the party, I was standing alone when Marcus approached me. "Thanks for coming," he said. "Sarah wanted me here. I know this is hard for you. I'm sorry if using those embryos felt like a betrayal." Felt like? It was a betrayal, Marcus. You used my genetic material without telling me. I had the legal right. I know, you keep saying that, but legal doesn't make it right. Marcus sighed. "What do you want from me, Jennifer? An apology? A promise to tell Lily the truth someday? What would make this okay for you?" "I don't know if anything can make it okay, but acknowledgement would be a start. Stop acting like this is no big deal. Stop treating me like I'm being unreasonable for having feelings about this." "You're right. I should have told you before we used the embryo. I should have called you and explained what we were planning. That would have been the right thing to do." "Yes, it would have. I didn't because I knew you'd say no. And I wanted this baby. Lauren wanted this baby. And the embryos were sitting there, frozen, not being used. It seemed like a waste. They weren't yours to use without discussing it with me first." "You're right. I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I am sorry." It was the first time Marcus had actually apologized. It didn't fix anything, but it helped. A little. "What happens now?" I asked. "Do you tell Lily eventually? Or does she grow up never knowing?" "I don't know. Lauren wants to wait until she's much older. Maybe not tell her at all." "That's not fair to her." "Maybe not. But it's simpler, and sometimes simple is better. The truth is always better." "I disagree. Sometimes the truth just complicates things unnecessarily." We stood there in silence. Then Marcus said, "You're welcome to be part of Lily's life, you know. As Sarah's mom, you can come to birthdays and holidays. You don't have to be a stranger to her." "But I can never tell her who I really am to her." "Probably not, at least not while she's young. So I'm supposed to watch her grow up, knowing she's genetically mine, and pretend I'm just her sister's mother?" "Yes. If you want to be in her life at all, that's what it would look like." I thought about it. Would that be enough? Being present but never acknowledged? Watching Lily grow up from the sidelines? "I don't know if I can do that," I said honestly. "I understand, but the offer stands. If you change your mind." I left the party shortly after that. Sarah stayed to help clean up. I went home alone, my head spinning with everything I was feeling. That night, I wrote a letter, not to send, just to organize my thoughts. "Dear Lily," I wrote, "you'll never read this. You might never even know I wrote it, but I need to say these things, even if they're only for me. You're genetically mine. You came from an egg I created, from my DNA, from my genetic code. But I'm not your mother. Lauren is your mother. She carried you and gave birth to you, and she's raising you. That's what makes her your mother. But I exist too. Somewhere in your genetic makeup, there's a piece of me. And I want you to know, even if you never actually know, that I see you, that I think about you, that I care about what happens to you. I don't know what role I'll play in your life. Maybe none. Maybe I'll just be the woman who shows up at your birthday parties as your sister's mom. Maybe someday you'll learn the truth and everything will change. But regardless of what happens, I want you to know this. You were wanted. Maybe not by me specifically, because I didn't know you were being created. But the genetic material that made you was created with love. Your father and I made those embryos because we desperately wanted another child. We never got that child. We got divorced instead. But years later, you came from those embryos. You exist because your father wanted you, because Lauren wanted you, and in a strange way, because I wanted a baby. All those years ago when your father and I were still married. So even though I'm not your mother, even though I'll never get to claim that title, I want you to know you're loved by your parents, by your sister, and by me in whatever limited capacity I'm allowed to love you. I folded the letter and put it away. Maybe someday I'd give it to Lily. Maybe I wouldn't. But writing it helped me process what I was feeling. A year passed. I attended Lily's second birthday party, her third. I watched her grow from a baby into a toddler. She started talking, walking, developing a personality, and she kept looking more and more like Sarah, like me. People at the parties would comment on it. Wow, Lily looks so much like Sarah. Sisters really do look alike. And Marcus and Lauren would smile and agree, never mentioning that they were full sisters, not half sisters, never mentioning that I was part of the reason Lily looked the way she did. Sarah kept her promise. She didn't tell Lily the truth, not yet. She's too young, Sarah said. She wouldn't understand. But when she's older, when she starts asking questions, I'll tell her. When Lily was 4, she started calling me Miss Jennifer, not Grandma, which is what she called Marcus's mother. Just Miss Jennifer. Like I was a teacher or neighbor, not family. It stung. But I understood. To Lily, that's all I was, her sister's mom. Someone who showed up at parties and holidays. Not family, not really. I started therapy to deal with my feelings about the situation. My therapist, Dr. Morrison, helped me work through the anger and the grief and the complicated emotions. You're mourning something that never existed, she told me. A relationship with a child who is biologically yours but not actually yours. That's a complicated loss. How do I move on from it? By accepting what is rather than what you wish could be. Lily has a mother. Lauren is her mother in every way that matters. You're genetically connected, but that doesn't make you her mother. But shouldn't she know the truth? Shouldn't she know where she came from? Eventually, yes. But that's not your decision to make. That's up to Marcus and Lauren, and Sarah to some extent, since she has a relationship with Lily. So I just wait and hope they do the right thing. You accept what you can control and let go of what you can't. It was hard advice to follow, but I tried. When Lily was 5, she started kindergarten. Sarah sent me a photo of Lily's first day of school. She was wearing a pink backpack and smiling at the camera. She looked exactly like Sarah had on her first day of kindergarten. I showed the photo to Linda. It's like looking at Sarah all over again. Does Lily know yet? Linda asked. No, Marcus and Lauren still haven't told her. Are they ever going to? I don't know. Sarah says she'll tell her eventually, but I'm not holding my breath. That's probably wise. When Lily was 6, she came up to me at a family barbecue. Miss Jennifer, are you my grandma? The question caught me off guard. No, sweetie. Your grandma is your dad's mom. Remember? Grandma Carol? But you're Sarah's mom. And Sarah is my sister. So doesn't that make you my grandma too? Out of the mouths of babes, the 6-year-old had figured out what the adults had been dancing around for years. Well, I said carefully, I'm Sarah's mom, yes. But I'm not your mom. Your mom is Lauren, so I'm not your grandma. I'm just Miss Jennifer. That's confusing. I know, family can be confusing sometimes. Lauren appeared, clearly having overheard the conversation. Lily, honey, why don't you go play with your cousins? She waited until Lily ran off, then turned to me. Thank you for handling that well. She asked a reasonable question. I know, she's been asking a lot of questions lately about family and how people are related. It's getting harder to explain why she looks so much like Sarah without getting into the whole thing. Maybe it's time to tell her the truth. She's 6, old enough to understand basic biology. You could explain it in an age-appropriate way. Marcus and I have discussed it. We're not ready yet. When will you be ready? I don't know. When she's older. When she can process it better. The longer you wait, the harder it will be. She's going to feel betrayed that you kept this from her. Maybe. Or maybe she'll be grateful we waited until she was mature enough to handle it. Or maybe she'll resent you for lying to her. Lauren's face hardened. We're not lying. We're just not sharing every detail of her conception. That's our right as her parents. Fine. But when she finds out eventually, and she's angry and hurt, don't say I didn't warn you. I walked away before the conversation could escalate, but I knew I was right. The longer they waited, the worse it would be. When Lily was 7, Sarah called me in tears. Mom, something happened. What's wrong? Lily had to do a family tree project for school. She was asking Dad about his side of the family, and he started explaining about his parents and grandparents. And then Lily asked why she and I look so much alike if we only share one parent. My heart started pounding. What did Marcus say? He tried to change the subject, but Lily wouldn't let it go. She kept asking. So finally, Dad told her the truth, that we're full sisters, not half sisters, that she came from an embryo that he and you created together. How did she react? She didn't understand at first. Dad tried to explain it in simple terms, that when you and he were married, you made embryos to have a baby. And years later, after you got divorced, he used one of those embryos with Lauren to have Lily. And then what happened? Lily asked why nobody told her, why we all kept it a secret, and Dad didn't have a good answer. Where is she now? At Dad's house. She's really confused, and I think she's hurt. She keeps asking if you're her mom, too. What did Marcus tell her? That you're her biological mother, but Lauren is her real mother. But I don't think Lily understands the difference. Can I talk to her? I don't know if that's a good idea. Dad and Lauren are trying to calm her down. They think having you involved would just confuse her more. She asked about me. She deserves to hear from me. Let me talk to Dad first. I'll call you back. Sarah called back an hour later. Dad says you can come over, but Lauren's not happy about it. I drove to Marcus's house. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I was finally going to have a real conversation with Lily about who I was, about where she came from. After 7 years of pretending, the truth was finally out. Lauren answered the door. She looked tired and stressed. She's in the living room with Marcus. Please don't make this worse than it already is. I'm not here to make anything worse. I'm here because Lily has questions and she deserves answers. I walked into the living room. Lily was sitting on the couch next to Marcus, her eyes red from crying. She looked so much like Sarah at that age, so much like me. Hi, Lily, I said softly. She looked at me with confusion and hurt. Are you my mom? That's complicated. I'm your biological mother, which means you came from my egg. But Lauren carried you and gave birth to you and has raised you your whole life. So she's your mom. I'm more like I'm the person who helped create you. Why didn't you tell me? Your dad and Lauren thought it would be too confusing. They wanted to wait until you were older. But everyone else knew. Sarah knew. You knew. Everyone except me. You're right. And I'm sorry. You should have been told sooner. Do you love me? The question came out small and uncertain. I sat down next to her. I care about you very much. I've watched you grow up. I've come to your birthday parties. I've been part of your life, even if you didn't know exactly how we were connected. But you're not my real mom. Lauren is your real mom. She's the one who takes care of you every day, who tucks you in at night, who knows all your favorite things. That's what makes someone a real mom. Then what are you? I'm the person whose DNA helped create you. I'm your biological mother. But I'm not the person raising you. That's Lauren. Lily was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, It's like I have two moms. In a way, yes. But Lauren is your primary mom. I'm in the background, supporting you, caring about you, but not raising you. Can I call you Mom, Jennifer? The question took my breath away. If your parents are okay with that, and if you want to, then yes. Lauren spoke from the doorway. Lily, Jennifer isn't your mom. I am. We've talked about this. But she's my biological mom. Dad said so. Biology and motherhood are different things. But I want to call her Mom, Jennifer, because she is kind of my mom, just not the same way you are. Marcus looked at me, then at Lauren. Maybe we should let her. It might help her process this. Lauren looked like she wanted to argue, but finally she nodded. Fine. Mom, Jennifer. But I'm just Mom, understood? Understood, Lily said. And just like that, everything changed. I was no longer Miss Jennifer. I was Mom Jennifer. It wasn't everything, But it was something, an acknowledgement, a recognition of my role in Lily's existence. Over the next few months, Lily asked me questions about what I was like when I was pregnant with Sarah, about whether I'd wanted more kids, about why Marcus and I got divorced. I answered as honestly as I could, in age appropriate ways. And slowly, we built a relationship. Not a traditional mother daughter relationship, but something. Sarah was relieved. I'm so glad she knows now. It was getting harder and harder to keep that secret. How do you feel about it? Sharing me as a mother figure with Lily. It's weird, but also kind of nice. She is my sister, my full sister. It makes sense that you'd be important to her too. When Lily was 8, she asked me, Mom, Jennifer, do you wish you got to raise me? We were at a park, watching her play on the swings. It was one of our regular outings now that we had a relationship. Sometimes, I said honestly, but Lauren has done an amazing job raising you. You're smart and kind and funny. She's given you a good life. But you're my mom too. Doesn't it make you sad that you didn't get to be with me when I was a baby? A little bit, but I got to raise Sarah. And now I get to know you. That's pretty special. Do you think it's weird that Dad used your embryo to make me? It was complicated. Your dad and I didn't agree on everything, but I'm glad you exist, even if the way you came into existence was unconventional. I'm glad I exist too. I'm glad you do too. When Lily was 9, she had to do another school project, this time about genetics and inheritance. She chose to present on her own family, explaining how she and Sarah looked so much alike because they were full biological sisters, even though they had different mothers. The teacher called Marcus and Lauren confused. Marcus had to explain the whole situation. The teacher was supportive, but it opened up conversation among Lily's classmates and their parents. Some people thought it was wonderful that Lily had such an extended family. Others whispered that it was weird and inappropriate. Lily heard some of the whispers. She came to me crying one day. Some kids at school said my family is weird, that it's wrong that you're my mom and Lauren's my mom. Your family is different, but different doesn't mean wrong. Families come in all shapes and sizes. What matters is that you're loved. Do you think it's weird? I think it's complicated, but complicated doesn't mean bad. You have 2 moms who care about you. You have a dad who loves you. You have a big sister. That's not weird. That's lucky. I guess so. And Lily? Anyone who makes you feel bad about your family isn't worth listening to. Your family loves you. That's all that matters. When Lily turned 10, she asked if she could come stay with me sometimes. Weekend visits, like she did with Marcus. Lauren was hesitant. She lives with us. You're not a custodial parent. But I am her biological mother. And we have a relationship now. Why can't she spend time with me? Because it blurs the lines, it confuses her role. She needs stability, not to be shuttled between 3 parents. She's not being shuttled. She's choosing to spend time with all the people who love her. Marcus mediated. Let's start small. Maybe one Saturday a month, Lily can spend the day with Jennifer, see how it goes. So Lily started spending one Saturday a month with me. We'd go to museums or movies or just hang out at my house. She'd sleep in the guest room sometimes. We'd make breakfast together in the morning. It wasn't traditional custody, but it was a relationship, real and meaningful. Sarah came to some of these Saturdays. The 3 of us would do things together. 2 sisters and their shared mother. It felt right in a way I hadn't expected. This is nice, Sarah said one day, having all of us together. It is nice, I agreed. Do you regret it? How everything happened. I regret that Marcus didn't tell me what he was planning, but I don't regret Lily existing. She's a good kid. She is. And Mom, thank you for handling this the way you did. You could have made it so much harder. You could have fought Marcus in court or made a scene or refused to be part of Lily's life out of spite. But you didn't. You gave her space to figure out who you were to her. That was the right thing to do. I didn't always feel like I was doing the right thing. A lot of the time, I felt like I was just surviving. But you did survive. And now look, you have a relationship with Lily. Not the one you maybe wanted, but a real one. When Lily was 12, she started asking more difficult questions about why Marcus and I got divorced, about whether we'd loved each other, about whether I'd wanted to use those embryos. I did want to use them, I told her. When your dad and I were married, we desperately wanted another baby. We created those embryos hoping to give Sarah a sibling, but then we got divorced and everything fell apart. I thought those embryos would just stay frozen forever. Were you mad when Dad used one? I was hurt that he didn't tell me. I found out when I saw you at Sarah's graduation. You looked so much like Sarah that I knew something was different. That must have been weird. It was shocking. I didn't understand at first. And then, when I figured it out, I was angry and confused and sad all at once. Are you still angry? Not anymore. I was for a long time, but anger doesn't change anything. You exist, and I care about you. That's what matters now. Do you wish you'd raised me? Sometimes. But Lauren has been a good mother to you. Better than I might have been, honestly. She wanted you so much. She chose you. That matters. But you're my biological mom. Doesn't that count for something? It counts for this, for our relationship, for these Saturdays we spend together, for the fact that you call me Mom Jennifer. That's what it counts for. Lily nodded, processing. I'm lucky, aren't I? To have two moms who care about me. You are very lucky. When Lily was 13, she got into a big fight with Lauren. Typical teenage stuff about curfews and phone privileges. Lily called me crying, asking if she could come stay with me for a few days. I called Marcus. Lily wants to come stay with me. She and Lauren had a fight. I know, Lauren's pretty upset, but I don't think having Lily stay with you is the solution. That sets a precedent we're not comfortable with. She's asking for help. She wants to spend time with me. Why is that a problem? Because you're not her custodial parent. When she's upset with Lauren, she can't just run to you. That undermines Lauren's authority. I'm not trying to undermine anyone. I'm trying to be there for Lily when she needs me. I understand, but the answer is no. Lily needs to work this out with Lauren. I called Lily back and explained she was devastated, so I can't come stay with you. Not right now, but we can talk on the phone, and I'll see you on Saturday. But I need you now. I know, sweetheart. But your dad thinks it's important for you to work things out with your mom. Lauren's not my only mom. You're my mom, too. I am. But she's the one raising you. That means she gets to make the hard decisions. That's not fair. I know it doesn't feel fair, but that's how it is. Lily hung up angry. I sat there feeling helpless. This was the downside of our complicated relationship. I cared about Lily, but I had no actual authority, no legal rights. When it came down to it, I was still just a biological mother with no custody. Lauren called me later that night. Thank you for backing me up. I didn't want to. But Marcus was right. You're her primary parent. I know this is hard for you, but Lily needs consistent boundaries. She can't play us against each other. I'm not trying to be played against you. I just want to be there for her. You are there for her, but within limits. Those limits are important. I understand. When Lily was 14, she wrote an essay for school about family. She interviewed me, Sarah, Marcus, and Lauren. The essay was about having two mothers and what that meant to her. She read it to me before she turned it in. I want to make sure I represented you accurately. The essay described me as her bonus mom. Not her primary mother, but someone important in her life nonetheless. It described how confused she'd been when she first learned the truth at age 7, and how over time she'd come to appreciate having multiple people who loved her. It's perfect, I told her. You captured it exactly right. Really? You're not upset that I called Lauren my real mom and you my bonus mom? No, because that's accurate. Lauren is your real mom. I'm just extra, but extra in a good way. I love you, Mom Jennifer. I love you too, Lily. It was the first time either of us had said it directly, and it felt right. When Lily was 15, Lauren got sick. Cancer, aggressive and fast moving. She started chemotherapy immediately. Marcus called me. Lauren has cancer. She's starting treatment next week. Lily's having a hard time with it. How can I help? I don't know, just be there for her. She's going to need all of us. Over the next few months, I spent more time with Lily. Picked her up from school when Lauren was too sick, made her dinner, helped with the homework, all the mom things that Lauren couldn't do while she was going through treatment. Lily and I grew closer during that time. She'd talk to me about her fears, about what would happen if Lauren didn't survive, about whether she'd lose her real mom. Lauren is going to fight this with everything she has, I told her, and we're all going to be here to support both of you. But what if she doesn't make it? What happens to me? You have your dad. You have me. You have Sarah. You're not alone, Lily, no matter what happens. Would you, if something happened to Lauren, would you want to be my mom, like officially? The question caught me off guard. I would be honored, but let's not talk about that. Let's focus on Lauren getting better. But privately, I thought about it. If Lauren didn't survive, would Marcus want me to step in? Would I want that responsibility? Could I take on the role of primary mother to a 15-year-old I'd only known as Mom Jennifer for 8 years? Fortunately, Lauren pulled through. The treatment worked. After 6 months, she was in remission. But the experience changed things. Lauren and I had a conversation during her recovery. Thank you for being there for Lily, she said. I know we've had our differences, but you really showed up when we needed you. Of course, Lily needed support. I wasn't going to let her go through that alone. She loves you, you know. She talks about you all the time, about Mom Jennifer and the things you do together. I love her too. I know, and I want you to know, I don't resent your relationship with her anymore. At first I did. I felt threatened. But I realize now that Lily having more people who love her isn't a bad thing. It's a gift. Thank you for saying that. I'm sorry I made things so hard at the beginning. I was scared that Lily would love you more than me, that I'd be replaced. You could never be replaced. You're her mother, the one who's been there every day. That's irreplaceable. But you're her mother too, in a different way, and that's okay. Lily has room in her heart for both of us. It was the first time Lauren had truly acknowledged my role in Lily's life, and it meant everything. When Lily graduated high school, both Lauren and I were there. We sat together, Lauren and Marcus and Sarah and me, watching Lily walk across the stage. She'd grown into an impressive young woman. Smart, kind, confident. She'd gotten into a good college with a biology major. She wanted to study genetics. The irony wasn't lost on any of us. At the party afterwards, Lily gave a speech. I want to thank my family. My dad, who's always supported me. My mom, Lauren, who's raised me and loved me and shown me what strength looks like. Mom Jennifer, who's been part of my life in this unique way and taught me that family is about more than just biology. And my sister Sarah, who's always been there for me. She looked directly at me when she said, I used to think my family was weird. When I was little and found out the truth about how I was born, I thought it was complicated and confusing. But as I got older, I realized I wasn't weird or complicated. I was just lucky. Lucky to have so many people who love me. Lucky to have 2 moms, even if that's unconventional. Lucky to be part of a story that's unusual but beautiful. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. After the party, Lily pulled me aside. Thank you, Mom Jennifer, for everything, for being patient with me when I was confused, for respecting Lauren's role as my primary mom, for being there when I needed you, for loving me even though this situation was complicated. You've made it easy to love you, I said. You're an incredible person, Lily. I'm so proud of you, but I have something for you. She handed me a small wrapped package. Inside was a framed photo. It was of the 3 of us, Sarah, Lily, and me, from one of our Saturday outings. Below it, Lily had written, Family isn't always what you expect. Sometimes it's better. Thank you, I whispered, tears streaming down my face. Thank you for being my bonus mom. My mom, Jennifer, my second mother, whatever we call it, thank you for being part of my life. At my daughter's graduation, I saw my ex in the crowd holding a baby who looked just like her. That moment 11 years ago changed everything. It forced truth to the surface. It created relationships that shouldn't have existed. It complicated lives that were already complicated enough. But it also gave me Lily, this incredible young woman who I got to know and love in ways I never expected. I'm not her mother in the traditional sense. I didn't raise her. I didn't tuck her in at night or pack her lunches or help her with the homework except during Lauren's illness. Those honors belong to Lauren, who earned the title of mom through years of daily dedication. But I am her mother in another way. Biologically, yes, but also emotionally. I'm her mom, Jennifer, the person who shows up for Saturday adventures, the person she calls when she needs a different perspective, the person whose DNA she carries. And it's not the relationship I would have chosen. If Marcus had asked me before using that embryo, I would have said no. I would have said it was too complicated, too painful, too weird. But now, 11 years later, I'm glad I didn't get to make that choice. Because Lily exists and my life is better because she's in it. At my daughter's graduation, I saw my ex holding a baby who looked just like her. And I didn't know that baby would grow up to call me mom, that we'd build a relationship that defied traditional definitions, that I'd love her as much as I do. Marcus made a choice 11 years ago that hurt me deeply. He used my genetic material without my consent. He created a child I didn't know about. He forced me into a relationship I never agreed to. But that choice gave Lily life. And Lily has enriched my life in ways I never imagined possible. So yes, the situation is complicated. Yes, there were years of pain and anger and confusion. Yes, Lauren and I still sometimes disagree about boundaries and roles, but we figured it out. The five of us, Marcus, Lauren, Sarah, Lily, and me, we've created something that works. A blended family that doesn't follow any traditional model. A relationship based on love and respect and the understanding that family can take many forms. At my daughter's graduation, I saw my ex holding a baby who looked just like her. And 11 years later, that baby graduated to high school calling me Mom Jennifer, thanking me in her speech, giving me a photo that said family isn't always what you expect. She's right, it isn't. Sometimes it's better.